Juneteenth has never been a celebration of victory or an acceptance of the way things are. It's a celebration of progress. It's an affirmation that despite the most painful parts of our history, change is possible, and there is still so much work to do. It is true that Mr. Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, after which there was a commitment to give 40 acres and a mule. That's where the argument, to this day, of reparations starts. We never got the 40 acres. We went all the way to Herbert Hoover, and we never got the 40 acres. We didn't get the mule. So we decided we'd ride this donkey as far as it would take us. But what a feeling can come over a man just from seeing the things he believes in and hopes for symbolized in the concrete form of a man. In something that gives a focus to all the other things he knows to be real. Something that makes unseen things manifest and allows him to come to his hopes and dreams through his outer eye and through the touch and feel of his natural hand. Emancipation wasn't a gift bestowed on the slaves, it was something they took for themselves, the culmination of their long struggle for freedom, which began as soon as chattel slavery was established in the 17th century, and gained even greater steam with the Revolution and the birth of a country committed, at least rhetorically, to freedom and equality. In fighting that struggle, Black Americans would open up new vistas of democratic possibility for the entire country. Studying the blueprints of liberation, one can map out the ways we as the global African diaspora have continued to resist and exist under regimes of anti-black terror. Since the development of racial capitalism, the use of African peoples as capital, our ancestors have always fought for freedom. Our history doesn't begin with slavery, but our future depends on us ending the mechanisms of it. Juneteenth is an extension of that abolitionist spirit where we march forth in reflection of the struggle. Freeing yourself was one thing, claiming ownership of that freed self was another. You must never, ever give out. We must keep the faith because we are one people. We are brothers and sisters. We all live in the same house, the American house. What I love about #Juneteenth is that even in that extended wait, we still find something to celebrate. Even though the story has never been tidy, and black folks have had to march and fight for every inch of our freedom, our story is nonetheless one of progress. Juneteenth is a date that recognizes the end of slavery in the United States. Although Juneteenth is not a day that is celebrated in the UK, it is still a reminder of the injustices black people endured. Juneteenth is important to me because till this day black people are still subject to racial injustice on a global scale, and are still victims of racial abuse regardless of where they are from. Juneteenth allows us to remember how far black people have progressed since, and it is a reminder of the strength we have within us. Whether it's freedom to express, freedom to live, freedom to earn, freedom to thrive, freedom to learn, whatever it is, I want to make sure that I'm a part of these spaces and opening doors. Juneteenth to me means a lot. When we think about the African diaspora and the history rooted in America and freedom for African Americans, it serves a reminder that there are people before us that have fought for liberation. It shows that even after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1863, African Americans still were not liberated. It redefined what liberation meant for the African American community here in the US. It showed that our liberation comes from us. Liberation lies within us and will not be formed from the current institutional structures we have in place, for it never has. We have suffered discrimination. We have suffered isolation and undermining. But we stand up for America, oftentimes when others who think they are more patriotic, who say they are more patriotic, do not. Juneteenth was a promise that was broken. Reconstruction failed and this country has continued to wage war on the black body. Juneteenth also embodies the resilience of black people. Even in the face of a broken system, we choose to find joy in resistance and celebrate in community. In the end, anti-black, anti-female, and all forms of discrimination are equivalent to the same thing, anti-humanism. Today on Juneteenth, the day we celebrate the end of slavery, the day we memorialize those who offered us hope for the future, and the day when we renew our commitment to the struggle for freedom. The 4th of July was never about black people. Juneteenth is just for us. As black people, we are told we don't deserve our own holidays rooted in our own history. Everything is whitewashed. Juneteenth is for us. Juneteenth symbolizes the hope that my children and grandchildren will be free. It's black joy and black tenacity to survive. If you dare to struggle, you dare to win. If you dare not struggle, then damn it, you don't deserve to win. On this day, June 19, 1865, black people's complete personhood was acknowledged on the systemic level for the very first time. It dates the moment African Americans, Caribbean Americans, and Afro-immigrants alike could begin to, on some level, participate in and see themselves as part of a whole society. Since the passage of the 13th Amendment, black Americans like Shirley Chisholm have trailblazed the socio-political world, creating a place for women like me to feel empowered in sharing my voice and stories with the world. As a woman of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, incorporated and a member of the Divine Nine, Juneteenth is also a time for me to acknowledge the ancestry of my founders and the experiences that led them to create our beloved sorority and to fight for the inclusion of black women in every space. I am humbled to share in the legacy of Juneteenth and understand that this becomes my fight to continue. Freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor, it must be demanded by the oppressed. Juneteenth reminds me of black freedom dreams, my freedom dreams. In 1865, the port city of Galveston, Texas, or the land formerly known as Mexico as I call it, where so much blood, indigenous blood, Mexican and Tejano blood, black blood had been shed, there was a freedom ring that was heard across the world. I hear that ring still, and it is a reminder that I stand on others' shoulders, and I, like my ancestors, my Mascogo, Afro-Seminole, African and black ancestors, who honor Juneteenth with me, will have to prepare a place for the generations that come after so they may experience more joy, more rest, more freedom, so they may experience liberation. Juneteenth represents liberation and it belongs to us. It is a constant reminder that black freedom is predestined, that only we can tell our stories, and that there is no freedom without black freedom. You can't separate peace from freedom because no one can be at peace unless he has his freedom. We black folk, our history, and our present being are a mirror of all the manifold experiences of America. What we want, what we represent, what we endure is what America is. If we black folk perish, America will perish. We are going to get out here, I am going to get out here and get something done. We have to wake up America. We have to make America uncomfortable like we've been uncomfortable for 400 years. The American education system has taught us as children that black people have history in pain and survival. They have failed to teach us our history in joy, success, innovations and so much more. Juneteenth is a reclaim on our history that has been stolen. Juneteenth is greater to us than a 4th of July or Christmas because it represents our culture, resilience, and deserving respect from a country we built. I had crossed the line. I was free, but there was no one to welcome me to the land of freedom. I was a stranger in a strange land. America has looted black people. America looted the Native Americans when they first came here. Looting is what you do. We learned it from you. We learned violence from you. If you want us to do better, then damn it, you do better. Juneteenth means so much to me. It represents the freedom that my ancestors fought so tirelessly for. But rather than focusing on the brutalization of my people then and now, I choose to focus on hope. June 19th reminds me that I am the force of power to change this world and to follow in the footsteps of my ancestors to work towards liberation. Juneteenth may mark just one moment in the struggle for emancipation, but the holiday gives us an occasion to reflect on the profound contributions of enslaved Black Americans to the cause of human freedom. It gives us another way to recognize the central place of slavery and its demise in our national story. And it gives us an opportunity to remember that American democracy has more authors than the shrewd lawyers and erudite farmer philosophers of the Revolution, that our experiment in liberty owes as much to the men and women who toiled in bondage as it does to anyone else in this nation's history. The persistence of violent white nationalism, these things have deep ugly roots, inextricably tied to slavery and its aftermath. We will be better off unearthing it and airing it out if we really want to repair. Nobody's free until everybody's free. The day we were free, everyone was free. Why not make it a paid holiday? We deserve that. We want a day that is inclusive to everyone. There's no other race, to me, that has such a tough history for hundreds and hundreds of years, and only the strong survive, so we were the strongest and the most mentally tough, and I'm really proud to wear this color every single day of my life. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Emancipation was as a result of dedication, hard work, speaking up, and speaking out. For people like me who believe in speaking up and speaking out, for times when we feel overwhelmed, or that laws and the world is moving backwards, it gives me hope. These landmarks from emancipation to the end of segregation and enactment of laws that push us one step closer to equality for all gives me hope. I remain aware that laws alone don't cause the change, but they give a backing, a recognition, I believe is so important. I am not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color. I prayed for freedom for 20 years, but received no answer until I prayed with my legs. Women who fought and sacrificed so much for equality and liberty and just for all, including black women who are too often overlooked, but so often prove they are the backbone of our democracy. I would like to be remembered as a person who wanted to be free, so other people would be also free. People say I talk so slow today. That's no surprise. I calculated I've taken 29,000 punches. But I earned $57 million and I saved half of it. So I took a few hard knocks. Do you know how many black men are killed every year by guns and knives without a penny to their names? I may talk slow, but my mind is okay. Juneteenth has become a newly but proudly embraced commemoration in my family, and we have been exploring the ways in which we want to experience and culturally embrace the date, and beyond. Juneteenth is another moment for me and my loved ones to build an archive of truth and experience of ourselves, black folks. Every black person you meet is a miracle. We are descended of lineages meant to be destroyed by slavery or colonization. Our lives are hard-fought and hard-earned. We are priceless. We are valuable because of our humanity and declared valuable because our ancestors declared our worth when they fought for us to live. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin, or his background, or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love, for love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. Our watchword has been the land of the free and the home of the brave. Brave men do not gather by thousands to torture and murder a single individual, so gagged and bound he cannot make even feeble resistance or defense. Neither do brave men and women stand by and see such things done without compunction of conscience, nor read of them without protest. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly, affects all indirectly. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. I could work as much and eat as much as a man, when I could get it, and bear the lash as well. And ain't I a woman? I have borne 13 children and seen most all sold off to slavery, and when I cried out with my mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me. And ain't I a woman? Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I, too, am America. Slavery did not envy the efforts of a multiracial movement of abolitionists, many of them white. Federal officials created the discourse of freedom and removed slaves from the shackles of slavery in order for slaves to work, and the freed slaves needed to work so that the North would not assume that they would carry the financial burden of the decimated Southern economy. No violence will create peace. To effect change we must show love in the face of hate and peace in the face of violence. My fellow Americans, this is a special moment in our history. Just as people of all faiths and no faiths, and all backgrounds, creeds, and colors banded together decades ago to fight for equality and justice in a peaceful, orderly, non-violent fashion, we must do so again.